Hey there, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, travel into terror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever wondered what it was like to be a fish caught on a hook, well, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and my safe word is sugarcane.
Oh no.
Noted.
Oh God. I'm Nico, the bizarro version of that one Motley Crue song, Dr. Feelgood. I'm Dr. Feelbad.
Oh,
I'm Dan, your local enigmatologist.
oof.
That's a dope fucking title. Yo.
It is, isn't
That
it?
sounds professional and legitimate as hell.
Yeah.
Well, we're here today to review Hellbound, Hellraiser II. So this one was directed by Tony Randel, starring Ashley Lawrence as Kirsty, Claire Higgins as Julia, Kenneth Cranham as Dr. Chenard, Imogen Boorman as Tiffany, and Doug Bradley as the legendary Pinhead. So the movie opens up with a recap of the major events of the first film, as well as a flashback to Pinhead, back when he was still human, messing with the lament configuration, which is the super evil puzzle box in case you forgot, and turning into a Cenobite. We then rejoin Kirsty, the hero of the last movie, as she struggles to cope with what happened in the first film. She's admitted into a psych ward, which is presided over by Dr. Chenard, and she slowly starts to recover from her experience. So, Dan, I'm hoping things go smoothly from here, right?
Not really, but unfortunately, Kirsty would soon have another run-in with the Cenobites.
Damn.
Turns out that Dr. Dr. Chenard, is obsessed with the lament configuration. And after Kirsty warns him to burn the mattress from her old house, he takes it to his own house like a weirdo and has a patient bleed on it, also like a weirdo. This resurrects Julia from the first movie, and she seduces Dr. Chenard, and he brings her more inmates for her to consume until she returns to full power.
I see. Well, Nico, what do they do with this power?
So Dr. Chenard and Julia then have a young girl named Tiffany, who's very gifted with puzzles, open the lament configuration herself, and the two of them, along with Tiffany, enter the world of the Cenobites. Kirsty, who is exploring Dr. Chenard's house, finds a portal and also enters. In the Cenobite dimension, though, Julia kills... In the Cenobite dimension, Julia kills Channard. Connor?
Charizard?
Chenard.
Why is this so fucking difficult? In the
Chenard.
Cenobite dimension, Julia kills Chenard and turns him into a Cenobite. Kirsty and Tiffany then link up and look for a way out. But Kirsty sees a door to her old house, and thinking that her father is in trouble, she enters. Also, she's trying to save her dad from hell.
Yeah, she got some messages earlier on. We ain't too worried about that, though. The reason why we're not too worried about that is because, as it turns out, her dad's not there at all. But Frank, her uncle from the first movie, absolutely is. By the way, he also impersonated her father in the first one, so this is kind of like falling for the same trick twice.
Yeah.
So he begins to move on her, but some quick thinking from Kirsty reduces him to a flesh-like form. Julia then shows up and kills
That's a
Frank.
weird sentence.
What's your problem, Nico?
Weird things happen in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem. It's just that is a unfortunate series of words you have just uttered into existence.
It is what
Go
it is, bro.
on.
It is what it is. Julia then shows up and kills Frank, which I guess is kind of like a double kill because he was already in hell. But as punishment for his betrayal in the first movie. She then pursues Tiffany and Kirsty, but check this one. A vortex opens up and she is literally ripped from her skin and her flesh form flies into the vortex.
Fleshless form.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, and then her skin is just there.
Yeah.
Kind of like a
just,
burlap sack.
Chill on the floor.
It's like some
Yeah.
loot. It's like loot when you defeat an enemy.
Is it?
It's actually a key item, but we'll get to that in a second.
I hate that.
Nico, why don't you go ahead and tell me about it?
I hate it so much. Okay, so Kirsty and Tiffany then run into Pinhead and his crew, and they get into a rap battle. No, but before Pinhead, yeah, right. But before Pinhead can begin torturing them, she shows Pinhead a picture of his original human form, and at that point, he begins to remember his humanity. the other Cenobites follow. Dr. Chenard shows up, and Pinhead and crew try to fight him off, but they're killed because he's been turned into this weird fucking abomination tentacle thing. But when they're killed, the Cenobites return to their human forms, their original, how they appeared as human beings. So at this point, Tiffany and Kirsty flee then, but they need to solve the lament configuration because reasons. Dr. Chenard attacks and Kirsty flees.
Well, to be fair, they need to solve the lament configuration to close off the door to hell. Otherwise, the Cenobites could just keep messing with them forever.
True.
Or Dr. Chenard. But Dan, there was that just flesh skin disguise just lying there on the ground at this point. I know there has to be something to do with it, and I know you know exactly what it is.
Tiffany is trapped, but before Chenard can kill her, Julie appears. She kisses Chenard, which distracts him, allowing Tiffany to solve the configuration. As it turns out, that was actually Kirsty wearing Julia's discarded skin, which is pretty fucking weird. And how she decided to just jump into that skin for some elaborate plot, I've never figured that out. Chenard gets his head ripped off, and Tiffany and Kirsty escape. We then cut to a scene of two movers removing the bloody mattress, like moving company movers. Mm-hmm. They are removing the bloody mattress from Chenard's house. A grotesque pillar appears as one of them is killed, and one of the sides bears the appearance of the homeless man from the first movie. Mm-hmm. He asks the remaining mover, "What's your pleasure, sir?" And the movie ends.
I really like chocolates.
The end.
All right, then. So let's go ahead and we'll take this one from the top, shall we? Looks. Nico, how does this movie look?
I am nothing but impressed with the props department for this movie. Just everything that they made looks so creepy and cool and just viscerally, upsettingly painful. This is, I think, definitely one of the most violent movies we've reviewed. Would you agree?
It's pretty visceral.
One of.
Yeah. I don't know where it would rank, but it's definitely up there. And the visuals do just so much to convey how immensely perverted and violent the world of the Cenobites really is, and how they truly are monstrous.
That's actually pretty true. I would say that one thing I really liked about this movie was the Cenobite dimension, particularly the labyrinth that they got going on there.
It looked cool as fuck, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The set design in this movie and just like some of the art direction was really cool.
They reference hell. Like at one point, Pinhead's like, your torture will be legendary, even in hell or whatever, your suffering maybe. But like, I don't know if this is meant to represent the Judeo-Christian hell, or if this is meant to be like, I don't know, like something else, like a different dimension. To me, it strikes me as more of just like a different dimension. They refer to it as the pain dimension in the first movie, I think. And I like that interpretation of it a little bit better. It's just a labyrinth of which there's no escape and there's just eternal torture. Yeah. And that has some hell-like qualities, but there's not really like a devil here per se. Like there is a massive floating thing which they identify as the god of the labyrinth, but doesn't really do too much. Yeah. So I don't know about that. Dan, how'd you feel about it?
I mean, I like the way it looks. I mean, one of my favorite things about the Hellraiser series is just, I hope this doesn't put me on a list, but all the really fucked up, grotesque, like crazy shit that you see.
Yeah.
I just think it's super creative and really like cool to see. And I liked the Cenobite design, especially with Dr. Chenard. Like I like seeing that creation and everything. I thought it looked really good. I mean, near the end, there's some 80s special effects that are very, very dated looking. But any movie from that era that has those kind of effects are, for the most part, dated anyways, So you can't judge it too hard for that. But it's all the practical effects, the props and everything were really good.
One thing that I will say as well that I personally had a liking for is, and this is gonna sound mad weird, mad suspect, I know. But so Dr. Chenard, he like dies and then he comes back as a Cenobite, but that's not good enough. Because when he comes back as a Cenobite, then a random tentacle thing shows up and like blends his brain, which I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? And then at the end of the movie, that tentacle thing turns into like a giant dick demon and rips off his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just here like, hey, I mean, you get your money's worth out of this one. So,
You sure fucking do.
so that's why I was like, all right, fair. But Dan, I want to hear what you thought about the sound effects in this one as well.
I mean, I liked them. I thought they were pretty cool. There was a scene near the beginning when Julia comes back and Dr. Chenard revives her from the mattress thing. She kind of bursts out and kills the one dude. And then her crawling back to the mattress and just like those, I don't know, because she doesn't have any skin. So she's skinless and there's blood everywhere. And she's like crawling back to the mattress and you hear like the squishy sound effects whenever she like moves and crawls up on the mattress. It was pretty fucking creepy, and I thought they did a really good job of sound design, especially on that scene, but across pretty much the whole movie. I really liked the sound design, and I think the soundtrack also accentuated a lot of that as well. And there's quite a few parts where there's just no soundtrack at all. There's no kind of score, and I think that was very effective as well. And then when there was, sometimes it would be very big, orchestral, bombastic almost, and had that gravitas there, juxtaposed by the very next scene or the previous scene of just no music. I thought was really cool.
I like the sound effects as well. And one thing that I thought was cool is like when they showed the kind of like the, you know, the god of the labyrinth, there was that accompanying sound piece that I thought really lent itself to that, because the movie itself doesn't have a lot of grandiose moments, and I thought that was one of them. So I liked that particular thing. Nico, your thoughts on the sounds?
What do you mean by grandiose? Because this movie's a lot.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of like yes, there's a lot of things happening, but I don't consider like a bunch of hooks and pins coming to rip you apart as like a grandiose moment. But like there's like this massive eternal labyrinth, and over top of it is the giant pyramid god or whatever. It's like,
no, I feel you. I liked the sounds in general. I thought that the backing orchestras were really well done, and this is going to sound a little weird, but just follow me here. There were a solid like 5 minutes where I swear to God, whoever scored this, it's like a fucking prequel to one of the songs in the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. It's the one where it's like the beginning of the fucking movie where they're talking about like the rings creation and whatnot. It was just like the exact same changes and a very similar sort of cadence. But so I was just like thinking about Tolkien while this was happening, which is a very, very strange cognitive dissonance to have.
A little bit.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes, shall we? So first thing, and then I feel like it's something we just have to talk about here. This is a sequel, but this is one of those sequels that takes place like right after the first one. Literally, they haven't even taken the bloody mattress out of Kirsty's house yet. Before, you know, this movie starts, Kirsty's still getting over everything that happens in the first movie. And this movie really wants to hit home that this is a sequel, and a very closely linked sequel, because they take like the first like 20 minutes of the film or something like that with constant flashbacks to show you things that happened and everything else. How did you guys feel about that?
I thought it was a little bit much on that front. I mean, I understand the need to do the flashbacks, and I'm glad that they did because it reminded me of things that I forgot about. But I wish it was like half the amount of time, because in the first 20, 25 minutes of the movie, the only thing that happens is Kirsty goes to the psychiatric ward.
Yeah.
And in there, you just see the flashbacks and whatever, but like there's pretty much no story progression in 25 minutes. And that was kind of, I just wish it happened a little quicker.
That's fair. Nico, you on the same boat?
I feel like there was a lot of mood building in that first 25 minutes that makes up for it. And personally, I feel similarly to how I felt about Friday 2, similar to the first one. I like this one more, which is probably no surprise to either of you, but I appreciated the little callbacks, and it reminded me of like a lesson I would teach in school where there would be, things to reinforce any kind of standards that I was trying to uphold or like meet certain like targets. And like it was like they were trying to remind you of stuff in a way that wasn't intrusive. It definitely was, but I don't know. I feel a little bit softer towards it.
I could see it. I kind of agree with Dan a little bit. I probably would have opted for maybe like a little bit less than what they had presented, but I do see your point, Nico. Now, this is always something interesting to talk about on the pod a little bit, but in this movie in particular, almost everyone here got bonked with the horny stick. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
everyone's just trying to get it in. It's real kinky. I mean that on like the technical level. And I mean, literally, Dr. Chenard, like, imagine like a literal, like a flesh, bloody corpse arises from a mattress where a mental patient, you just basically like trick this dude into like cutting himself and he bled all over the mattress and she comes out and you're like, I'm gonna smash that. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Because that's what he did. Literally.
Dude is down horrendous.
And that's one big thing in this movie.
Is it confirmed that they smashed or just heavy petting and wanting to? Because I mean, I didn't see any confirmation.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Because there's that scene where they walk into the pain dimension and they're watching those other people smash, and she kind of gives them this look, and then they just kind of move on. But I don't think they actually smashed yet. I think they died first before they had the opportunity.
All right.
Not saying it wasn't going to happen, but
Okay. Well, this movie does have that element to it where they constantly talk about the mix of the pain and pleasure, which is somewhat of a calling card of Clive Barker in this series. I mean, do you like it? Does it make the movie unique at all? Like, how do you guys like? What's the take on that?
I like it. I think that the movie benefits from it entirely. I genuinely don't see any downsides to it, particularly given that it is within a genre that is already known for the grotesque and for pushing the envelope. I think that this is something that is arguably much more creative than just meat-headed torture porn that some horror in the like 2010s was.
I tend to agree with you there, Nico.
yeah, I mean, I agree too. I think it works in these films, and I think it also gives the viewer a sense of like unease and unsettlement. It just adds to that creepiness factor. And also, like when I watched it, I was like, damn, why is Dr. Chenard like really into her like that? Like, especially so quickly.
Yeah.
And then also, like in the first movie, there was a lot of this shit too.
Yeah.
But, I kind of realized that Dr. Chenard is like really into, like, he's obsessed with this kind of stuff. He studies all of it and everything. So then to see this being come into existence that he's basically, I don't want to say been worshiping because that's not
no,
true.
but he's like pursued that.
Yeah, right. So, like, that's the culmination. She is the culmination of
I would
everything
say it's
he's been
near
doing.
worship.
Pretty close, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand it, but like I guess it's sort of logical. Maybe I see how he'd be into that, I guess.
All right. Now, another thing here, and this is something that I personally, I kind of like, and there's a deeper element to it that we'll talk about immediately after. But just to start with, so this is a movie where the Cenobites kind of do a face turn, right? They end up defending Kirsty, and Pinhead actually gets back his human form, as do they all. They all take back their human forms. How do we feel about taking these villains, and particularly these monsters, and ostensibly just returning them to human form? Does this ruin them for you? How do you feel about it?
I feel kind of weird, particularly given where we are now. Like, it is just impossible for me to separate the information that there's like 11 million of these Hellraiser movies. Like, I know there's more. So what kind of weird, grotesque Kingdom Hearts ass convoluted shit are we gonna do to get them back into Cenobite form, y'all? What's gonna happen?
You like DVD players, bro? You remember that shit?
You like CDs, Nico?
Yes.
Sure.
Just remember that for when we're reviewing Hellraiser 3, all right?
That was my favorite.
Oh, no.
So I think that this is one of those where, how do I put this? It's almost kind of like, you know, like when you're watching like a TV show or an anime or something and they're following the manga or the source material pretty directly, but then eventually they run out of source material, so they end up coming up with some wild shit. I feel like this was the intentioned end of the Cenobites, Pinhead and his crew, and they regain their humanity and they take it, you know, they take it that way. But don't just take my word for it.
Okay, I won't. Fuck what you heard here. Don't listen and don't open that door, folks.
Well, so I was trying to pull it up, but I guess I can't find it. But essentially, I remember reading somewhere along the line that Clive Barker had written like extensive backstories for the Cenobites. And he really wanted to kind of like drive home their human factor and also kind of like, I guess, what led them to become Cenobites, like their vices and things like that. And in that way, I think he also had intended for Lisa to end up becoming like one of the big evil things in this movie.
Julia?
Julia to become
Lisa
one of
Simpson.
the big evil things in this movie, potentially even further on, because she is a very evil character over the two movies.
She also kind of has superpowers, I feel like.
When she comes back, absolutely.
Yeah, she just like, I don't know, she's got some sort of commanding fucking heft behind her back
yeah.
slap.
Yo, she like ultra pimp hands Kirsty across a room
Yeah.
at one point. So I was like, yeah, geez. But I don't know. And could you see this as a stopping point for the Hellraiser movies? Let's pretend we don't know if any sequels. Could you see it ending here? Do you think the ending of this movie necessitated a sequel?
I could kind of see it ending. I could see it ending, but I don't know that I'd be satisfied with the ending. Because I feel like the way that the Cenobites die is just kind of lame.
Yeah.
Like this dude just like walks in and just, they don't do anything. There's like, Dr. Chenard's like, oh, a fight, yes. Nobody fights. Dr. Chenard just goes, shoot, you're dead. Shoot, you're dead. Shoot, you're dead.
Well, Pinhead does attempt to give him the good old hook and chain treatment.
He tries
once.
the hooks for like a second. The other three just like fucking take it. They just die. And like, all right. So I kind of wanted to see them fight a little bit because especially in the first one, we kind of get that whole sequence where they're chasing Kirsty.
Yeah.
They're kind of scary. But in this one, they're more like menacing isn't quite the right word, but there's no action behind them. And I kind of, if this is how it ended, I would have been kind of disappointed.
I do see what you mean. Yeah.
Fair enough. Now I want to ask you guys, compared to the first one, which do you view more favorably? The first movie or the second movie?
I'll beat everyone to the punch here. I obviously prefer this one. I think you could absolutely just start at Hellraiser 2 and you'd be fine.
Yeah, they both have a very similar plot too. Like we kind of talked about the flashbacks earlier in this episode here, but I mean, I think the plot follows the same basic line anyways. I mean, somebody comes back to life, eats people.
Oh no, I'm back. Oh no, I don't have skin.
Yeah, basically, yes. But I like this one better too. I think pretty much everything was just implemented a little bit better on this one. And I really enjoyed the Cenobites and I enjoyed seeing a little bit more of them. Even though like just kind of said they're not quite as powerful maybe, but I still enjoyed seeing them more and watching Chenard turn into one I thought was cool.
I wonder how much of them being more powerful in the first one had to do with them regaining their humanity. And then they got probably like a little bit depowered. They were like, oh shit, we're humans? Oh shit.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Pinhead regained his humanity, but the others just became human when they died.
Yeah. Dr.
Because he was
Chenard,
like, oh, I remember. And then the other ones were like, we don't. And then they die and then they become the human. So I feel like it's not like they go on this mental quest to become.
Maybe that's what they were doing. They were going on the mental quest when they were just standing there. That's what was going on.
Maybe.
They were just blazed out of their minds.
On a vision quest.
Yo.
I will say the first movie probably had a little bit better beginning, like with the whole corpse storyline where Julia's bringing back people to kill, and like I enjoyed that piece more than the beginning of this one. But then I think the second half of this movie blows away the first half, the first movie completely. Like once they get to the Cenobite dimension, it's real good at that point in time. And so that's why I like it so much. Now, real quick. Do you have like a favorite scene out of this movie? Like a favorite something that happens?
My favorite moment in this entire movie is when Julia gets fucking degloved, but her entire skin, and she just like yeets herself into the cosmic void or something, and then they're all just like, "Oh, okay, we got some skin now."
My favorite wasn't necessarily one scene, it's one character, and so I guess like a compilation of scenes is Cenobite Dr. Chenard, because this man is like a combination of Doc Ock and Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
He's just like, bro, first of all, I mean, Doc Ock, he's got the arms and shit.
Fucking tentacles, yeah.
Yeah, but he also just like makes a lot of like doctor puns.
The doctor is in.
Yeah, and they're funny.
I'm
but
afraid it's terminal.
yeah, they're pretty funny, but they're not quite as like corny. I mean, they're definitely corny, but they're not as outwardly corny as like Mr. Freeze's one-liners are.
Chill.
But like very, very similar. And what's on the agenda today? Evisceration and shit. Like it just makes all these like doctor jokes, and it's pretty fucking funny.
So,
Yeah, you know, that common term that we hear at doctors, evisceration.
Evisceration.
Hey, Justin, what'd you get back from the doctors for?
Eviscerated.
Got eviscerated, bro.
Hey, you never know. They put you under, and who knows what happens.
look.
I hope the fuck not.
You don't know. They're just really good at stitching you back up.
So, leaving that behind us, it's time for the What Would You Do? Now, this movie's so similar to the first one that I find it to be tough to come up with a What Would You Do, but I think I did. So we see Frank and his torture, because dude is kind of like a sex addict almost. His torture is that there's what I assume to be beautiful people, and he makes a comment like they promised me forever, but they never deliver. And he's just like constantly teased, and that's his hell. What would yours be?
Damn.
Now, given that the Cenobites tie into like
Damn, Justin.
some type of like pleasure aspect, I'm not talking about, oh, I'm afraid of insects, so I'll just be surrounded by insects. Like, no, like there's a kind of like sadomasochism going on here. Like, it's like, what would like at the same time titillate you and torture you?
Oh, I know. And this is real too. So
Whoa there.
I've experienced this.
Hey,
Except
keep
this
it
would
rated.
just be
We're a
like-
rated R podcast, but don't go further. All
It's all
right?
right. It's all right. It's all right. This is PG. This is PG.
Okay.
Mine would be having musicians and artists send me 30 to 60 tracks to mix, like one song, but different tracks.
Yeah.
And they're all labeled audio 1, audio 2, audio 3, audio 4, audio 5. And I have to go in and figure out which one is their vocal, which one is their guitar, drums, whatever. Because like I have this weird thing where like I'm super anal about organization in my mixes and just and stuff in general. So like I find an odd pleasure in organizing all this shit, but I also fucking hate doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like that would be
Torture.
my hell of just
It's
like never
beautiful.
actually getting to the actual fun part of the music, just doing that part.
That's fair. That's really fair. See, I am vanilla as fuck. So I think that perhaps for me, the biggest torture would just be like the most beautifulest ghost just like comes up, flirts with me or some shit like that. Like we get like real fucking close, and then all of a sudden ghost is like, oh, you suck, and like disappears. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, they'll ghost you.
They ghost me like literally every time. I feel like that'd be pretty torturous after a while. Or like, I guess on a non-sexual term, just like, I mean, I joke around with my roommate all the time. I'm like, yo, bunny rabbits die of loneliness, because I'm a very lonely person. I get lonely super easy. Like I need human connection. And I feel like if something was offering me human connection and I'd get just a drop to like tempt me and make me want more, but then take it away would be torturous, and yet I'd live for it. So I think that's something.
On this episode, we all need therapy.
For real.
That was the other one too. But Nico, there has to be something that bugs you. There has to be something that bugs you.
I don't know what mine would be. Dude, I'm going to be real with you. Thinking about that for me is, y'all know the various bodily ailments and woes and maladies that I have. Hell for me is being stuck on 95, and I just have a big fucking storm brewing down there.
Wow.
And there's just no hope in sight for miles. That's my hell.
That's fair, and that is actually related to pleasure as well. More on that on our other podcast. But
hey. Oh boy. Hey Justin, I got a what would you do for you though, real quick.
Oh shit, hit me, bro. Hit me.
It. So let's say you pick up an odd job, little side job of being in a moving company, right? And you get this gig, you walk into this house, and one of the rooms, there's a bloody mattress with fresh blood all over it.
Yes.
What would you do?
Fucking run. The fuck?
Yep.
Somebody died in this bitch. I'm out. Sorry, I'm out.
No 2 weeks notice here.
I'm not going to ask questions. Just
I'd be like, listen, y'all didn't give me no notice when I came here for this bloody mattress, okay? So, fair enough. But I want to know. It's time once again. The game is afoot. What did this movie get on Rotten Tomatoes, do you guys think? Because it's time for the critic review.
I'm going to say 76.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be mad at me no matter what I say. I'm going to say, I'm going to say 79.
I'll take it only because that means Dan wins. Yay.
Yeah.
So,
okay, good.
This movie got a 50% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience was roughly just as harsh because it's a 58% from them as well. I know it's I feel like I have to remind the audience time and time again. Like, I know it's an aggregator. Nothing else I can do about it, bro. So that being said, where would you guys rank this movie? On a scale from 1 to 100, where does it sit for you?
I'm going to say a 79. It is a lot of fun. It is real fucking wacky. It's really horny and really violent, and I had a good time. But if you think about it too much, you might find some problems there.
That's fair.
I'm going to give it an 82.
Mm-hmm.
Except I feel weird about it because I feel like my score doesn't really adequately express my love for this series, because I really enjoy the Hellraiser series, but I feel like I can't give it much higher than an 82. I don't know. It's an 82 plus, maybe. I don't know. It's got like an 82 with a star next to it or some shit. I don't know. But it's a lot of fun. I really like it, but I don't think it's like a wonderful movie by itself or anything. I just really like the Hellraiser aesthetic and that whole series.
I think that I agree a lot with you, Dan. I'm going to give this one an 80.
Wow.
And I am very much aligned with you here. The only reason I'm giving this an 80 and not ranking it a little bit higher is because for me, the beginning piece does take a little bit away from it. But
understandable.
I really like this movie, and Dan and I have a little tradition whenever we're in the same, area, same time zone, what it might be, and it's around, that Halloween time, pop in Hellraiser and we watch it. And we've been going through the series and whatnot. There's like a billion Hellraiser movies out there. No spoilers, but in terms of quality, I think this is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
And because of that, I really appreciate a lot of the themes in this one. And I think if you're in the right mindset, like if you're really feeling it, it's even better. So that's how I feel about it. So based on our scores, would you guys recommend this one?
I definitely would.
Yeah.
I would as well. But I'm assuming not the Golden Seal.
No.
Nah.
Not on my end either. So yeah. You know what, audience? That's really interesting. Go check our review of the first one and Nico really didn't like that one. So I'm glad you like this one,
Yeah,
Nico.
me too.
And you know what? We thought you might. We thought you might like this one a little bit more.
Figured.
So yeah,
that's much better.
That's totally fair. Any last words before we wrap this one up?
I don't recommend watching this movie while you're at work like I did.
Bro, how the fuck? What?
It's a very not safe for work movie.
What?
Yeah. Don't
That
do it.
is wild.
I wouldn't do that.
Nah.
I had to hide my phone a little bit at most parts of the movie.
What's happening here?
I'm not going to lie. I have watched horror movies in class with my students towards the end of the year when we're all just super done and nothing's really going on. But I would never put this one on.
No way.
Nah.
Jesus Christ.
And I mean, like, yeah. It's definitely one that you gotta make sure you're in a mature setting for that kind of thing. But hey, listen, if you want to get in touch, though, drop us a line if you like this movie, or if you don't, or if you want to complain, or if you want to tell us how cool we are. Anything works. We're on social media, and we're on Twitter and Instagram. That's at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. Don't open that door. Plus, you can check out every episode we've done. That's on our website, and that's, of course, dotdhorror.com. But till then, take care of one another, stay safe.
And rate our shit 5 stars, please. We love you.
That too. If you like what you've heard, you can always drop us a nice review on your platform of choice. But as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.